for allowing me to come into your classroom. I really appreciate it, and I love coming in. I come in every month or every few weeks and just say hello. I know that there are several students in this class that I have not met yet, and so I wanted to just do a brief introduction of myself, career services, and talk about a few quick things here tonight. I'm going to take a second here and just load one quick document for us to take a peek at together. Okay, so I wanted us to go over this together really quick, but I'm just really excited. Thank you again so much for allowing me to come into your classroom. And I wanted to kind of piggyback off of, let's see here, what was mentioned about the Pinterest assignment, Sarah. I want to challenge you guys to spend, I know that you probably have like Facebook or Instagram or some sort of social media on your phone that maybe you get on when you're when you have a few minutes of downtime. I want to challenge you to spend half the time that you usually spend on those social media sites on Pinterest. The more time that you spend on there, and same with LinkedIn. I think it's really important to have an active LinkedIn account that you guys have all learned about. I think you learned about that in CLD at the very beginning of your program. But I think if you just challenge yourself to spend half the time that you spend on social media on Pinterest, if you're learning about that right now, or on your LinkedIn accounts, the easier it's going to get for you. So you'll get more familiar with it. You'll learn how to navigate it better, connect with others, start following your friends, start following your classmates, and interact that way. I think it'll be a lot easier for you. So I just wanted to throw that out there really quick. Just challenge yourself and maybe put a reminder on your phone to take a look at that and just get more familiar with it. So that's totally normal. But back to what I was, oh, here we go. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, same with that's perfectly fine. So you're very familiar with it, but then the same with LinkedIn. So that's something that I always talk to our students about is, if you're having trouble with LinkedIn, I just want to challenge you to spend at least half the time on there. So I'll let Shady answer your questions about the assignment specifically. But I wanted to touch base on a couple really, really cool things. So 2014, 2015, so we have a reporting period every year, and we just turned in our reporting period in early childhood education, both the associate and the diploma program. 100% of our students, our graduates, are working in the field. And so this is a number that I'm very, very proud of. We work very hard with our students to get them employed after your externship, and 100%. So there are so many job opportunities for you. I want you guys to be excited about this career that you have decided to pursue. There are just so many opportunities for you guys, and we have so many students that have graduated maybe a couple years ago and are now are moving up within companies and now have managerial experience. It's just a lot of great opportunities for students and graduates. So I just want to encourage you. I put together a quick list of recent employers who've hired our graduates. So if you just want to take a look at that really quick, it's just something to be really excited about. So I just wanted to kind of motivate you and get you excited about the future. This is something that is just so exciting, and I just love talking to our early childhood education students because you guys are one of a kind. You guys are just so awesome to work with, and we are flooded right now with early childhood education job leads. So contact me, please note the bottom there, please contact me 6 to 8 weeks before your last class. So this is your responsibility. Get out your calendar, look at your last class, count 6 to 8 weeks before that. Please shoot me an email. We need to start discussing your externship. Let's see here, Katrina, let's see, my externship is scheduled for March, but I have 5 other classes after that. So are you in the associate program? What I'm assuming is that you have your externship and then you have 5 more associate classes. Is that correct? Do you know? So Sarah, what your externship is, this is why I love coming into your classroom and just kind of having an open dialogue conversation. Yes, Katrina, perfect. So that's what happens. So you're going to finish your externship and then finish your associate classes. So great question. Thank you for asking that. Sarah, what do you need to do for externships? So contact me. This is the #1 thing you guys need to take away from this class. Contact me 6 to 8, from what I'm saying, not from what Shani's saying, just to make that quick note. 6 to 8 weeks before your last class, contact me, and then we'll start talking about your externship. If you're local, if you're in Tulsa, you're actually going to go to the school and attend a short 45-minute class talking about externship. But if you cannot get to class, then you and I will have that meeting over the phone, and we'll talk about all things externship. A lot of great conversation there, a lot of great conversations there, and just talking about where you want to do your externship, you know, what sort of location you want to be at. Awesome. This is great. We have students in Ohio, Nebraska. This is fantastic, and that's totally normal. We'll have your conversation over the phone. So please, especially if you're out of state, please contact me 8 weeks before your last class. I want to make sure that we have several weeks to schedule your externship. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to make all the phone calls for you to get all that scheduled and get all the paperwork done, but I want you to start brainstorming on what kind of facility you want to be in, and we'll talk about that all later. Sarah, what are you referring to? What do you need to look at? So please take down really quick, make sure you all have my email address so you know how to contact me. Okay, so we will work on that. Sarah will work on it specifically for what you're looking for. We'll talk about that when you and I have that conversation 8 weeks before your last class. We'll talk about that, and we'll see what best suits you and what kind of facility you want to be in. And then I'm actually going to have you guys research 5 different facilities that you want to extern at, and then I'll start making phone calls for you. But it's really, really exciting, and I put it in your court. I want you guys to do the research because I want it to be somewhere where you truly want to work. Instead of me making phone calls and saying, hey, you're going to go to this facility, I want you guys to have some investment in it so you guys are more excited about it. But please make sure you have my email addresses down, or my email address down, and contact me 8 weeks before your last class. Also, I just want to make a quick note, that all of you guys should be connected to the Early Childhood Education Facebook page. If you are not, please either shoot me an email or let your instructor know, and we'll add you to that Facebook page. But Shani does a fantastic job by posting a lot of great job leads on there. So we just want to make sure that it's easy for us to communicate and be able to touch base that way. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Do you have any other questions or concerns? I've been working with early childhood education for about 4 years now, and so this is just a really, really fun, exciting time, and I love working with this program and working with your instructor. You guys are blessed with an awesome instructor. So please don't be afraid. If you have any other questions or concerns anytime, shoot me an email and I'll give you a call, or we'll work through it via email. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for allowing me to come in, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
There we go. Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's always good to see you. Most of you, or some of you know that Stephanie actually lives in northern Missouri, so we never get to see each other face to face, but we talk on the phone and we email, and from time to time we get to talk during Blackboard too, so it's always great. She's amazing, and if you need any help with placement with externships, that's where you need to go, is right there to Stephanie. Any of you that if you don't have her contact information, I would love to email it to you as well. So just send me an email and I'll get it to you. Exactly. You have until May, Sarah. That's right. So you have plenty of time. And I think her main idea, or her main things, is that that you start just looking around, keep an eye out. Maybe you have friends that work at centers. Maybe you have a center that's close to your house. You know, people pick businesses for different reasons. So you may have an age group that you're drawn to, that you really want to work with. Maybe you want to work in public school. And if you're interested in that, you could even, you know, tell the school system that you're going to be doing an externship, and maybe you can So we're very open to possibilities. Oh, and working with handicapped children, that's wonderful. Yes, exactly. So we want you to be someplace that you want to be. And, you know, our overall goal is that you will extern and then after graduation or even after externship, be hired by that facility. So we want you to get one that's going to be a very good fit. And I noticed Ms. Otis is on here tonight. She may actually be doing her externship in Puerto Rico. So we've never arranged that before, but Stephanie said that she's more than happy to do it. So it'll be fun. Oh, and Lita, you have 2 places by you. That's great. I mean, I think it's always wonderful when your workplace is near you as well, especially if transportation might be an issue. So it's great to have one nearby. Maybe your child attends that school or not. So just know that it's sort of in your court as far as the places you want to choose. You give that list to Stephanie. She'll talk to you more about that. And then she will actually contact the places for you. So she sort of gets your foot in the door. She's wonderful. Let me see if I can get my PowerPoint back here. There we go. Yay. Okay, so back to us, right? Our announcement. I'll figure out how to work this computer at some point tonight. Our announcement. So we just had our guest speaker. We're here for a reason, definitely. I always love our live lectures because this is the time when you guys can ask me the questions that you need to. We can clarify assignments for the week. And we can also make plans for the month ahead. And I know I brought this up last time. Looks like I'm lagging a little bit, right, guys? I know I brought this up last time, but the last day of our course is December 27th, you know, just a few days after Christmas. So I wanted to talk real quick about the final paper that you'll have for this course that's due in week 4. Because you can start on this paper at any time, and you can turn it in at any time. And I know there's several of you that really love working ahead in the course and sort of getting things out of the way. So week 4, our final paper, you're going to research, exactly, Sarah, you're going to research, yes, there we go. And in fact, this information is on our course page on My Course Connections in week 4 where it says final paper. It's the exact same information back. You're going to pick one child development theorist. It's up to you who you choose, but just know that you need to pick one, only one. You're going to find some sources on this theorist, whether it be in the library, Katrina, since you work there, to be really easy for you, or online is fine too, or from other ECE textbooks as well. So your options there. So one theorist, at least 3 cited sources. If you use more, please include those as well. And here's a list of some of the different theorists that you might choose. Now notice I said might. I'll get my sunshine out again tonight because it's chilly back here. Eric Erickson, you might choose. John Piaget, Uri Rockenbrenner, B.M. Skinner, Lev Vygotsky, Arnold Cassell, or Sigmund Freud. Now, these are just sort of the big ones that we see in many of our child development textbooks. If you have another theorist in mind, be sure and send me an email, get it okayed first before you do the paper, okay? So you might choose someone else. Maybe you're going to choose someone that's more current. That is fine too. So after you've chosen your theorist, you're going to write a 1,000-word paper, and I don't want that to sound very scary. 1,000 words is about 2 to 3 pages. So you're going to be getting information on this theorist. And if you look at the numbers here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I want you to sort of consider these paragraphs. So in your first paragraph, you might talk about the specific theorist and some of the key points of their research. Did they develop a certain theory? Did they have a certain way of developing it? When did they develop their theory? Because some of these are historic. Number 2, what was his or her background? Provide a little information about the theorist, maybe where they were born, how they were raised, how they became interested in early childhood. Third, which theory or theorist is similar to the one that you chose to research, and in what ways are they different? So I want you to choose on number 3 another theorist and compare them to the one you've chosen. So here's an example. Maybe you've chosen C.F. Skinner as your theorist, and you've written about C.F. Skinner, and you've written about the background, and now I want you to choose somebody else. So with C.F. Skinner in mind, you might compare him to Jean Piaget, and tell me how they're similar and how they're different. The other theorist that you choose is up to you as well. So you might choose one that's very similar to the one that you've chosen. You might choose one that's the complete opposite of the one you've chosen. Either way. And you might have 1 or 2 paragraphs in this area. And then on number 4, what are the beliefs of this theorist that you agree with and the beliefs that you disagree with? So you're probably not going to go along with 100% of what each of these gentlemen in this case have developed. And you need to tell me what you agree with, what you disagree with. Okay? So 1,000 word paper. Please don't short me on that. Be sure you get at least 1,000 words. And most of your word processing programs, such as Word, Google Docs, have an option to have your words counted as you type. So just look around for a few different buttons, and you're probably going to find that option somewhere, maybe hiding under a tab. Some of them automatically do it. You've just not noticed it before. So this paper, you should type up in Word or Google Docs or another word processing program. Main thing, I don't want you to type it up in the comments area on My Course Connections because it is so easy to lose them there. I would hate for you to get, so many words in and then the internet goes off and you lose half your paper. So be sure and do it in a separate program, then submit it as a file. Okay? So final paper. Any questions about the final paper? Now this isn't due until December 27th. You have plenty of time. But if you wanted to start working on this, that would be fantastic too, okay? Let's see if we got it. I know I got a couple questions there, right? Gotcha. Exactly. Exactly. And no, 1,000 words total. So altogether. So if you count on all the pages up, you should have 1,000 words total. 1,000 words is going to be about 2 to 3 pages. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't want this to sound like a great big huge scary paper, guys. This isn't a 10-page paper. However, you do need to do a little bit of research, and something that you might do is just write it a little bit at a time. Yeah, that'd be great, Sarah. That'd be great. Write it a little bit at a time. Maybe work on that first paragraph this week. week and get that going. If you're like me, sometimes I need to write a little bit and then think about it and go back to it and make changes. So the main thing is don't wait to do it, on the last night. I don't want you having to write up a final paper on Christmas or the day after when you're tired and surrounded by presents and stuff with food, right? or the next day when you've got family all around you. So I want you to be able to try to work on that and get a few things out of the way, right? So week 4, and we'll be talking a little bit about it each week. Next, just a little bit, we're going to cover child development theories and data gathering, which is Chapter 1 in the Developmental Profiles e-text. Now, we don't use that textbook very often, so those of you that have gone into it and looked around, you may be familiar with this information. So I know this information can sometimes be boring when we're talking about developmental theories. We bring it up in many other classes, but this is where we get the basics, so it's very important to talk about. Why do we study them? Because it offers explanations about lifespan changes. It sort of helps us make sense of what the child is going through, how they're growing, how they're changing, and of course, how they're behaving. And these are all things that we see on a daily basis when we're caring for children. Also, what factors influence their growth and development. It helps us understand developmental delays if there may be some issues there. It helps us spot irregularities and hopefully catch these ahead of time so that something can be done because we want to intervene as soon as we can, right? So they are very important. Then as you interact with your kids in daycare or preschool or in public school, you'll be able to spot developmental changes. You'll be able to realize that a behavior may actually be more normal than what other people may think. And so it's wonderful information to have. So first of all, we're going to go over just a few theories. We're not going to go over all of them tonight because that's just too much information. But we're going to talk a little bit about Sigmund Freud. Now, some of you, maybe you want to choose Sigmund Freud as your theorist. So he was born in 1857, lived till 1959. Nice long life there. What is that? 57 to 59 is 102 years, right? Sigmund Freud was around a while. Some of his main points: experiences in early childhood influence later development. Of course, we know that. Assume sexual factors are major factors even in early childhood. He did a lot of research in that area. Some of the key words that Sigmund Freud came up with: psychodynamic, psychosexual, libido, oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, latency stage, then genital, ID, ego, superego, on and on. He was very much into an equal amount of nature versus nurture, which is sort of, I think, where I am on the spectrum as well. But I think both of them plays a large, a big influence on how we develop and how our children develop. So, of course, he was one of the early ones, though, to actually study this, because people would assume that children are born as these sort of blank slates, and that we have to put all this information in them to teach them. But then we actually realize, wait a minute, they learn some of these things naturally without us taking that initiative as they develop along the spectrum. So, Sigmund Freud, 1957, 1959. If you want to go further into him, do your paper on him. Arnold Gesell, 1880 to 1961, which to me isn't that long ago, a little bit before I was born. Some of his developmental genetically determined by universal maturation patterns, which occur in a predictable sequence. And I really just want you to pay attention to those last two words with Arnold Cassell, was that things happen, children develop in a predictable sequence, and we can compare children. And even though they may not develop at exactly the same time, one child may not do it 2 months exactly as the other will, but their development will generally happen in the same sequence. Keywords: biological maturation, milestones, normative development. And he was a little more on the end of nature, meaning he thought children were born with a lot of these skills, a lot of these attributes, and not so much on the extent that parents played a role in helping us develop, or caregivers played a role in helping us develop. It's interesting if you go back to, I believe it was in the 1950s, at a college in the U.S., they used to take children that were abandoned, babies that were either abandoned or put up for adoption. They were given to a university, and I can't remember the university right off the top of my head, but it was for the home economics department. And they had these students, these home economics students back in the 50s, raise these babies as part of their college experience. And they had the babies on a very strict schedule as far as their feedings go, and bedtimes and nap times. And also they focused a lot on their development. And so it was interesting that a group of home ec students, I think it was 3 to 4, were in charge of raising a child. And we thought that this was a good idea. And after these babies had matured up to a year of age, they were then very sought after and very adoptable in the community by people who really wanted this scientific baby that we've raised. Good birth control. Exactly, maybe. So we actually, in the U.S., we did basic experiments with child development as part of our college career. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you guys babies. We're good. Our next theorist, and this one's a little bit blurry. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a good copy of this one. Is B.F. Skinner. Oh, exactly, Sarah. Yeah, exactly. Theories of child development are our third. Theorist was B.F. Skinner. A little more of a contemporary, 1904 to 1990. So actually, B.F. Skinner hasn't been gone that very long. He was very into reinforcements and punishment to help mold behavior, and that children are conditioned by their experiences. So he went along with operant conditioning, positive and negative reinforcement, consequences, rewards, responded operant social learning theory, behavioral learning theory. And actually, a lot of the things that B.F. Skinner developed or theorized are still in practice in many child development centers. And many parents naturally use this as well. Oh, he was born in March. Awesome. Did you just look that up, Lita? So if you notice then, on the nature versus nurture scale, he was very far to the right of nurturing. He believed that parents and caregivers had a lot to do with the child's development. Good deal. Thank you, Lita. So of these 4 theorists, or 3 that we went over, Sigmund Freud, Arnold Cassell, or B.F. Skinner, maybe this is what you want to choose as your theorist. You guys make the decision there, or take your time to start looking at the other theorists that were listed as well. I don't want to bore you anymore with those, though. And of course, there's videos on YouTube as well if you wanted to watch videos on the series. Individual differences. Let's talk about how kids are different. Each child is unique because they have distinctive genetic makeup, depends on their mother and their father. They also experience different environments and interactions. So what is their family life like? What culture do they have? What type of communication is going on in the family? Does the child hear a lot of words, so they hear very few words? Oh, I completely froze up. I think you can still hear my voice though, right? Somebody sent me a chat if you can still hear my voice. Oh, and there's trees too. Okay, so sorry about that. Communication still plays a role in how child development, of course, and their temperament. So there's lots of different factors that go into why a child is the way they are and how they act and how they behave. But the main thing here is that we are all different. Of course, if any of you have children or you had siblings, you know that even within the same family with the same parents raised almost identically, children can be like night and day, right? You may have brothers or sisters that are completely different from you. Or my son and my daughter are the same way to me. They are completely different. They have different interests. They dress differently. They enjoy different things because we're all individuals. Stephanie, your girls are total opposites. Yeah. And I think it's almost that way even more in girls because, you know, girls were more like, they're more like competition within the family. Oh, your son should have been a girl and my girl should have been a boy. So you've got some tomboys in there. That's how I was too. So we also have a few more developmental variations. A typically developing child is going to acquire skills in a sequence across all domains. So an example is, of course, as infants. Infants can normally turn their head side to side, lay on their back. They eventually progress into being able to lift their head towards their stomach. Eventually they'll be able to, during tummy time, to lift their head back. So we slowly develop certain processes. We start off with moving our hands, but we develop into being able to use the pincher grasp and eventually grasping objects. So everything happens in a sequence. Now, at-risk children, development may be affected by a medical problem or a learning problem, and hopefully, as an ECE educator, you will be able to spot this potential delays. Atypically developing child, meaning a child that's not developing as usual, just does not conform to the expectation. So, for instance, maybe you have a child that does not speak until the age of 2 or 3. That would be an atypically developing child. Does it mean that they're going to have lots of issues? Maybe not. Because I've known people that naturally waited until a later age to begin speaking. And when they did start speaking, they spoke in complete sentences. They didn't just start off with single words. Oh, Stephanie, what? I have one little girl that hates dressing up, and younger daughter loves to dress up. Oh, yes. I see that quite a bit, too. Gee, I was jeans and boots personally, and I liked wearing boots to kick the boys. I eventually got over that. That's funny, Stephanie. So, again, we all develop at our own rate, and we are all our own people. And also, I'll list a little bit on the importance of data gathering. Now, I know a lot of you guys are really thinking about this. You were told by your oldest that you're mean because you got matching Christmas presents. What a horrible mom, Stephanie, right? I think it's cute. I love it, especially with little girls. Yeah. That's funny. And Katrina's got a big story going on. I'm worried about what all you're typing up. I bet it's going to be a good one. Okay, so I know when we talk about early childhood education, you have a picture in your mind of you're playing with the kids, you're getting lessons together, you're maybe doing observations, but they're very informal. Well, there's actually quite a bit more to caring for children as far as our data gathering goes. It's something that we're always doing in the background. Oh, gotcha, Katrina. I thought you were writing this huge story for us. So you started to type, but then stopped. And it just brings up the little bubble like you're working on it. So, we'll watch the story then, okay? So, sometimes we use, as far as data goes, we use authentic assessment, where the child is evaluated in his or her natural environment, which means to do an authentic assessment. Okay, long stories are papered. That'll work too. With an authentic assessment with a child, this would be something that we don't do necessarily in a center or in the daycare or in the school. It would be best for them to be in their natural environment. So that means at home. As an ECE educator, you may need to do home visits to do authentic assessment to see how the child's being raised, what they're being raised with, and how they behave at home versus how they behave at school. Now, lots of times I see children that actually behave better at school than they do at home. And I know some of you may have seen this as well. Yes. Yes, I have actually seen parents be shocked that the teacher is talking about what a fantastic student their kid is, and the parent is going, "Are you talking about my kid?" So, Trees the same way exactly. And then at home, they are sometimes a completely different little person, right? Well, my kids were a little bit that way to an extent when they were younger. But my theory was I would much rather them be better at school than at home. If they need to act up a little bit, if they need to be a little rowdy, I would rather that happen at home. I have the theory that you can't be good 100% of the time, but if I can get you really good at school and maybe 80% at home, I'm okay with that. A little honoredness is needed from time to time. Okay, also observations. So a part of ECE are our observations. So we want to use this in our evaluating process. The type of observations you use is going to vary center to center. Sometimes centers will use several different forms of observation to get better feedback that way. He's a good place to tell a perfect angel anywhere else. Oh, that's good, Brittany. Well, good. See, that's a good balance. So as a teacher, you might take notes on how the child's behaving, anecdotal notes, maybe just a little bit about how the day goes. Anecdotal notes may be something that you send home each day, in fact, to the parent to let them know how the child did at school. You might also do something called a time or event sampling, where you observe them during a specific time, maybe 10 to 12 o'clock in the morning. Maybe in advance you're observing them just at lunchtime. So you're looking for specific things. Frequency and duration counts are actually just like you're marking up how often the behavior occurs. So an example, oh, Alita, in year 2, your son's better at school than at home. See, I'm fine with that. I think that's great. They need to be able to relax a little bit at home. Just think of how hard it is to be good. It's hard to be good all day. Frequency and duration count. For instance, maybe we have a problem with hitting in a child. So what they could do is count how many times each day this is happening, then design an intervention or a plan to reduce it, and then taking the frequency account again to see if we are reducing the number or if the number is increasing, then see what needs to be changed. So we definitely use it as evaluation. We might also use a checklist, and a checklist might be something that you're seeing how the child was developed through the school year. This reminds me of when I was a little kid in kindergarten. In kindergarten, our grade cards that went home, instead of having A's or B's or C's or even satisfactory or unsatisfactory on them, had a list of things that you should be able to do. And once that thing was accomplished, a check mark was added. So for me in the 70s in kindergarten, they wanted you to be able to share, to tie your own shoes, to stand in line, to write your name on a page. You know, there were specific things that they wanted you to do. Oh, you're a kindergartner. It's like that with your grade card. Good. See, I sort of prefer that for that grade level so that we know specifically what they can do. Yeah. So that would be a checklist. Exactly. And then the last one is a portfolio. And a portfolio may be something more like keeping examples of a child's work so that you can go back and look at how they did at the beginning of the year versus how well they're doing at mid-year or the end of the year. So really, it's good for you to know a little bit about each one of these and to know that this might come up and that your center might expect this of you as well. Usually the lead teacher does a lot of observations as well. Yeah. And on we go to our final slide of the evening. Are there any questions right now? We went over let me see, Ms. Stephanie talked about externship. We went over our final paper for the class, a little bit about theorists, and a little bit about information gathering. And a little bit about how our kids are generally better at school than they are at home. And now we feel better because everybody knows that, right? Because there's so many times that you think, oh, it's got to be just my kid. It just has to be mine. Oh, ideas on how you can get him to do his homework. You know, that Sarah, I agree. That's something that we did as well. They came home, had a snack, and then because every kid is usually starving right after school. And then we had to do homework before they could play or watch TV or get on the computer, whatever the item was that they were wanting to do. Yeah, exactly. So if you can do it earlier in the day, that's great. Yeah. It seems like the longer you wait, the tired they get. Oh, when you were younger, you had snacks after school, and then you had to take a nap. You know, school is tiring. Exactly. Think of them, you know, they've been in a job all day. They've been thinking all day. They've been moving around all day. And yes, they tend to be a little tired after school. So having a snack, getting a little energy back, but then going ahead and finishing out that homework is a good idea. And you can always keep track too, Lita, on a I think it's important for you too, since you're a student, that you're a good role model for him too. You guys can do homework together. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, some stretches. Yeah. Shake the bellies out. I love shaking. You know, Sarah, and that's the thing too that we're discovering more and more, that exactly, you don't have to sit down to do your homework. I love the stand-up tables that I keep seeing on Pinterest and some of the child development sites and on Facebook, because as a child I think I would have loved the stand-up tables. Yeah. Exactly, they're sitting all day, so if they want to stand at the table, if they need to move, that's fine. Yeah. All right, so anybody else, any other questions? If you don't have any more questions, you're welcome to go. Please email me, Facebook me, call me, text me if you have any questions, okay? So far, you guys seem to be doing really good with discussion boards, the Pinterest board, and I started grading week 1 assignments. I think I've got one more to go, and I'll have that caught up. Good night, Maria. I do so despite Sarah. Exactly. It's good that we can help support each other. You can do it, Lita. Bye, Stephanie. Bye, Brittany. Bye, Jasmine. Bye, Tree. Sarah, Katrina.